19th, and time is 12:02. Let's start.
Can I make a quick request that we move A up and be the first one, since we have a visitor to present for us before we go over the financials and all of that, so that he can be in and out?
Sure.
Sure.
Sounds good.
3A? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Moving
3A. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Just so that Mr. Ham can get in and get out. So. I have Mr. Ham here today. We wanted to talk to you guys about a $5,000 sponsorship to an Odessa Arts project that Mr. Ham came and discussed with me. This is a Amazon special called Art in America, and I'm going to let Randy kind of tell you guys about it, and then we can discuss it, answer any questions that you have, and then it would require a vote. So, Mr. Ham?
Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you for giving me a moment of your time today. We're at the end of our fiscal year, both Downtown Odessa and Odessa Arts, so I wanted to point that out as a frame for what we're doing here. In August, late July, early August, I was contacted by a film production company out of New York City that produced a documentary called The Story of Art in America. It was a 90-minute documentary that they went across the country and visited cities and explored their art scene in each city. It was streamed over 120,000 times. It's been available on Amazon less than a year. So that's really good streaming numbers. And the thing is about streaming services, especially Amazon, they're very hesitant to give out their data. So the fact that we have this is really good. The streaming documentary performed so well that the production company started a series called The Story of Art in America. Series 1 was filmed in 2020. Series 2 was just completed filming and has not released yet. Series 1 was just released in July. And those 2 seasons went all across the country as well. Season 3 is specifically Texas-based. They want Texas cities. They are focusing, there are 7 half-hour episodes. The cities that they have chosen to want to feature are Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Amarillo, and Odessa, Texas. And I think that's really cool that we have made an impression in our art scene with the country at large, and that they want to do a focus on this. They would be filming in May of 2023 for premiere in 2024. So they're trying to film the entire series in the month of May, send the film crew down here. That's a really good time for us because on May 12th and 13th, we'll be hosting Mural Fest in downtown Odessa. So what we would be doing is giving the production company the names of about a dozen artists, and they would narrow it down to 5 that they would interview and showcase, and then cut that into, of course, an episode. There is a co-production cost to this. It's $17,000. And again, like I said, we're all at the end of our fiscal year, and the timing was a little rough, but we went and found some ways that Odessa Arts could spearhead and find the first $7,000. I've got another arts donor that's interested in sponsoring at the $5,000 level as well. So that just leaves me another $5,000. And so I went to Casey and talked about this because it's my intention to present downtown Odessa as the focal point for this project. There's one mural that we're helping facilitate over in Parks Legato that I want to feature, but everything else that's on my wish list is located in downtown Odessa. And we really want that to be one of the highlights of how art has helped revitalize downtown Odessa. So that's why I thought this would be a really good fit for this organization. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions at all.
Good deal. Parks Legato, are they putting in anything on?
One of my arts donors is the one that wants that mural featured. Okay. So it's a specific business. It's not like
Uh-huh.
it's not Parks Legato itself, but there's one business located out there, and it's going to depend on whether we get the mural installed soon enough to get it featured, and I think we will. We've got about 8 months, so that shouldn't be a problem. But the majority of the public art projects that we've done, and even private art projects that we've done, have been here in downtown. And I can't let the film crew go away without showcasing Ferdinand, because that's my favorite mural we've done. So we have all of this stuff right here in downtown. And in fact, there's a mural being installed at the Family Wellness Clinic this week or next week, and then also the piece that's going in front of the police department training facility is going in next week as well. So there's a lot that we'll be able to feature from downtown Odessa.
And another question.
Sure.
The company that is, I guess, doing the stories, obviously they're with Amazon, or they sell this to Amazon, or they
have a distribution deal with Amazon. So in fact, you can go on Amazon and search for The Story of Art in America. Mm-hmm. And there are 8 episodes for the first season available, as well as the feature documentary. But it's also on, what's that other, Roku. It's on Roku. It's on a couple of other Freevee, I believe. But there's about 5 or 6 streaming services. So it's not just Amazon, but that's obviously the biggest distribution that they have. And that's a pretty big distribution. The episodes are not free for Prime members, but they're only $1.99 an episode. And so I was able for $15 or something, download the whole season and watch it. And I'm very impressed by the production quality. This is not somebody with their iPhone, filming out of the back of a pickup. This is a legitimate film company that has worked with Amazon on some other films as well.
So how is that shared with the public? Just Odessa Arts will market on social media that this is coming out. Go to Amazon, pay $1.99.
Absolutely. They'll help us market it once they have a firm release date for the season. We also get access to the B-roll footage. So the other good thing for us is that we have film that we can use for marketing purposes for other things.
Could we take that and see if CBS? I know nothing about media. Okay, so but can we pass that to CBS 7 or News West 9 and they roll it for us, or they can't do that?
What we would with that footage, we could do something like create a 30-second spot that could either run on social media or broadcast network, or right, or even if, for example, if we created a spot that was a tourism spot for Odessa, and we wanted to use that footage, we could put it into something else that highlights what our needs are. So
I love the idea. I'm just a little confused about the production costs. What is their cost and what is your cost? Is what I know it's $17,000.
It's a 50-50 split. So they're paying $17,000, we're paying $17,000, so that's $32,000.
And then they're selling it to Amazon and all the other people, and they're obviously benefiting from it, right?
Sure.
Is there anything coming back to you? Other than the marketing and everything on that, is there any of that coming back? And it's a legitimate question. Yeah, financially. Yeah. Is there anything that comes back to you on this?
No, financially, we don't get anything back. And I like to consider this, I guess the best way to explain it is that this is like a 30-minute infomercial for Odessa. And so that's what the marketing aspect of it is. And to have it on a platform like Amazon is a pretty big deal. And when you think about it in terms of $17,000, I can go back and look at my marketing budget for the last 2 years, and we've spent more on direct mail flyers and printing costs and things like that in a year that don't get us near as much exposure as an Amazon, that platform highlighting us. And also having Odessa sitting next to Austin and Fort Worth and Houston, Dallas and Houston, it kind of elevates us.
And not on the list of worst cities to live in.
Right, exactly. It's an opportunity to paint this, to show this city in a very positive light that we already know it is, but a lot of other people don't.
No, and I love the idea, and I'm not trying to knock it.
No,
But I'm
it's
just
fine.
sitting there going, hey, shouldn't they maybe kick back a little bit to you guys for the your arts program and that kind of thing? Because it sounds to me like you're paying half, they're paying half, they're selling it, they're benefiting all the money. I would think that they would kick back a little bit to you guys so that to help your arts, the arts program. I don't, as far as us donating or whatever, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but I just kind of feel like, hey, maybe they should bring a little bit back to you guys to help with the projects that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Is it it's not something where they're going to be advertising in it?
This is commercial free, right?
Commercial free.
So this is like,
Okay.
and I think it's actually 24 and a half minutes or something, but it's pretty close to 30 minutes.
And the streaming, in the past, it streamed how many views?
The documentary, the 90-minute documentary, streamed 120,000 times in the first year. The first season's only been out for about maybe 5 months now, 6 months. It premiered in May, and so we don't have numbers for that. But to me, and I'm not going to say no to anybody making donations to Odessa Arts, but the marketing benefit to me justifies the expense. We did a documentary on the Spire when we were creating that, and that just aired on Basin PBS, and that was nearly $10,000 just to do that documentary that aired on one PBS station. And so for $17,000, we're going to be on Amazon.
No, and I agree with that. I just feel like, hey, these guys are going to benefit, really well out of this. And I would think that, hey, maybe some little donation to the arts program here or to the other cities that they're doing as well, I think would have been or would be something nice that they could do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to ask.
No, it doesn't.
For me, I mean, your arts program is your arts program, and we love it. We love everything you guys are doing.
And what is allocated? How much time is allocated for Odessa?
We get an entire episode that's just ours. So each city gets its own episode, and ours is so it's between, I think, 24 and a half and 27, something like that.
So you said you get like 30 seconds that you can use for like advertising here locally. Would it be possible, like for Marriott or even Texas Tech, to show that link like on one of our pages, like for students that are looking into our area, or is that going to be restricted and only
to follow a link and be able to watch the entire episode?
Oh yeah, we can do that. And speaking of Texas Tech, one of the things that I want to make sure they get some good footage of is the Albert Paley that's in front of the Health Science Center, because it's a huge piece and it's very significant, and not even a lot of people here in Odessa know about it. So we have these little hidden gems, and we've got 30 minutes, and that's, as generous as that is, it's still not enough to tell our story. But at least we can, at least we can put our best foot forward and do do our city proud. So.
And Randy, I think the exposure that you'll get, like you're mentioning from Amazon, all of the grants that you apply for, that exposure will be great because we were chosen from his efforts of what Odessa Arts has done in Odessa.
Absolutely.
They'll see that we've drawn national attention.
Yes.
Probably international attention, and say, oh, it's worth it to give him this grant next time he asks or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and also just in
That's
terms of,
invaluable.
thank you, just in terms of quality of life too, when we're recruiting, businesses, when we're recruiting employees, to be able to give them something to view and see that gives them a positive impression of our city, that is going to be invaluable as well.
That's your best selling point right there. Yeah,
Right.
we usually aren't noted for that. We usually get a lot of bad press. Yeah,
We're terrible. We're terrible at doing our own recruiting, and I'm just as bad. But one
Randy,
thing.
I
Yes,
may
sir.
have missed this in your opening about this. If you do not get all the sponsorships to make the 17K happen, then Odessa Arts would cover that.
Yes, I feel strongly enough about this that we're going to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
But I
think
want
that's
these
important for
community.
everyone to-
Yeah.
Okay.
but I think these community partners are so invaluable, and we could go and we have a big enough city, and there are districts all over the city, and we want to highlight as much as we can. But really, what this entire community is focusing on is downtown, and I want to show that in the finished product.
The sponsors, are they going to be recognized in some kind of manner, like this is brought to you by Odessa Arts,
right,
in collaboration with the XYZ production
right,
company?
Funding made possible by assistance from Downtown Odessa, logo on the, that kind of thing, like you would on PBS. We'll make sure that the Downtown Odessa logo would be on there. And again, my aim is to have the majority of the filming done here in downtown.
And this is just kind of organizational management for DOI. What else do we have on the table for Odessa Arts as an ask for the rest of the year? I mean, we've made it through Hot Summer Nights.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on the table? Is there anything else?
There's only 2 weeks left in the year, so I promise.
Oh, that's right. Fiscal year's over October 1. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're at the end
this
of our
is your
fiscal
last
year.
ask.
Yes.
It couldn't have been for $500
for the year.
Yeah.
My last
We
ask
have
for-
plenty of money. I was looking at that. So
Yeah. Yeah. and really an ask isn't a good way to say it, because the rest of the time during the year we're doing partnerships. So when we do Hot Summer Nights, they're paying for this portion of it, we're paying for this portion of it, and we're splitting any kind of profits or whatever. So
Even
so a
this should be
direct
looked at as a
donation.
partnership. Yeah. I
Right.
think we're all excited about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And it just shows what a good partnership we've had, and how much it's growing. But all of the other things, like Casey said, we talk about during the budgeting process before we ever even submit for outside agency, and we really delineate our roles and responsibilities, and we do that very well. And I have to say, it's been the best it's ever been under Casey. Like that, it's just made it so easy.
Thank you.
Well, and don't forgive me, my questions, I'm just trying to get you a little extra
please.
cash. I'm a businessman, so I'm like, hey, how can I get a little bit of cash out of them? Now, we don't have the kind of leverage that Dallas and Houston and those, they may just say, well, let's just skip Odessa and go to Midland. So we don't want it, we definitely don't want to push that envelope, but,
I
so,
think it's really.
you want to put this to a vote,
I was
guys?
going to say, I'd like to make
Okay.
a motion
Motion.
that we do the $5,000
Yeah,
sponsorship
absolutely.
to Odessa Arts.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, it's all in favor.
Hey, congratulations.
Great job.
All right, thanks.
Awesome, Randy.
Our first pre-production meeting is the first week of January, and so I will make sure that I keep Casey updated, and anytime you want me to come back and update you in person, I will be more than happy to do so, so that we're all aware of the progress that's being made.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
day.
Sean, we have to do a little housekeeping. It's okay.
Oh, mine hasn't
Sean.
started yet, but it will shortly.
I said we have to do a little housekeeping. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Organizational management.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank y'all for letting us skip ahead. We can go back
Sure,
to
sure.
the beginning.
All right, I guess next, approval of minutes for August.
Direct to me. Move for approval.
All right,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Perfect. Okay, for the financials, first we'll go over August as a whole. We had a total revenue of $15,940, and we had some expenditures totaling $39,5846. I wanted to, on the meals and entertainment, that $228.85. I took Audrey out to eat for her last day, just as an appreciation meal, and we also took just Sean out for his last day, and I thought it was important that we let the board know that we did that as an office, and just to show our appreciation, because we really appreciated their efforts with us. So total net revenue of negative $23,6806 for August. The next is just a breakdown of how we got there, where our expenses were as far as events, and how that kind of worked out. Our $1912.95. That was one of our larger expenses. Was for we made our final payment to the Marriott for Fandango. So we had that invoice come out in August. So if we want to look at statement of financial position as of August 31st for the year, the first thing I'll point out is our accounts receivable, that $1644.98. That's our outstanding accounts receivable that we have not received. That is largely because ORMC, Texas Tech, and Glitz have not paid for their State of Downtown invoices. All three of those have been sent out, but we just haven't ever collected on those. And so that's a big part of that.
Who is that again?
ORMC, Texas Tech, and Glitz.
With ORMC, are they paying it local, or is it coming from Stewart?
It's coming from Stewart, and I've
Okay.
been in contact with them, and we're probably not going to receive that $500.
And if you do,
Why?
I know our invoices take 90, sometimes 120 days.
Stewart's having some
Yeah.
serious financial issues, and so I've just been told that they're not paying invoices right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll check on that for you.
Okay, and I've sent it to Ryan. He's one of my really good friends, and he's a higher up there, and he's trying to help us and work on it. I really wanted to get it closed out in this fiscal year. That's not going to happen. So,
Have you reached out to anybody at Texas Tech?
I haven't reached out to them directly. I lied. We emailed the person who signed up a couple of times, and then I think we haven't followed up. I know we resent the invoice in August, and it shows us every time it's been opened. Like ORMC's opened their invoice 212 times. Texas Tech, I think, has opened it maybe 4 times. So we're going to follow up, and hopefully we can get these closed out by the end of the fiscal year.
Do you have a first name on the contact?
I will get that for you.
Okay.
Any response from Glitz?
No.
Can you share who that is? Who's the
That's
owner?
the new one.
That's the old Proteus.
Right.
And how much
It's-
was it for Texas
What's her
Tech?
name?
Who's-
Sorry, Bruce.
Chelsea, or is it
Chelsea Waters.
Yeah, Chelsea Water.
Yes. And I can reach out to her directly as well. I was just trying to let Audrey be the one to kind of reach out since she was their contact, but I think it's time that we kind of reach
Yeah,
out and
reach out
Yeah.
to him.
I think
I'll reach out to Stacy for you.
okay. So and then the rest of that 1,600 is invoices for treats on the street. We're charging $100 to be a part of the treats on the street if you want your logo, and so those aren't past due. That's just in August. That had already come up. So anyways, moving further down, our total assets as of August 31st are $209,504.81, showing a net revenue as of August 31st, $59,459.79. And then the next page is just your breakdown by events of how we got to that point. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the financials. No questions?
Nope. No.
Perfect. I think we'll need a motion for approval. Right? Don't we have to approve the financials? Yes, I thought so.
All right. Motion for approval.
So moved.
Everybody in favor? All right. Second, third, fourth, fifth. Approve.
Perfect. So we've already done new business A. We'll move down to new business B and introduce Miss Savannah Woodward. She is our new event coordinator. Savannah hails from East Texas. Her and her husband and her baby moved to Odessa in March. Yes, so she's fairly new to the area. Her husband is a firefighter, and they have a 19-month-old son. And she has a lot of experience in coordinating events, a lot of marketing experience. She has great knowledge on graphics creation and social media. And so we're just putting her through the ringer at downtown. and we're very excited to have her join us. So I wanted to make sure that you guys got to meet her and see her, and she'll be doing big things for downtown. So
Welcome, Savannah.
Nice to meet you.
next up, we have filled the position for our admin. That's going to be Martina Marquez. She starts on Monday. Martina is a current employee of the city of Odessa. She works in equipment services. So I'm really excited. I think that's going to be a smooth transition. She'll already have experience with the city systems, which is a huge deal because I'm still learning the city system. So to try to train someone is proving to be hard. But we're going to get through it, and we're very excited to bring Martina on, and we'll have her at our next board meeting next month so that you guys can meet her, and she'll be joining us on Monday. So I wanted to go over the grant tier update, and I provided you guys an updated copy of what the new grant tier system will look like. This has been to ODC, to City Council, and has done its readings, and we're good to go on this. This is going to go public. I'm going to update our website and the tier, the grant brochure. I just wanted you guys to be in the loop in case I know you guys are advocates for us out in public, and so I want you guys to have the most up-to-date information. So we're going to be doing a big media push for this. I'm hoping to include this as a billboard and really drum up some interest in revitalization of downtown. Always focusing, on our main corridor, but I'm really excited that this is going to allow us and hopefully encourage development on our outlying areas of our downtown footprint as well. That went from 25% reimbursement to 75% reimbursement. So that really opens that up for some larger reimbursement grants. And so I'm hopeful that that encourages folks to come in. But any questions on the new tiered program or the new tier map? Perfect. I put on here for us to discuss the board meeting times. I know that there has been a few comments, and I was looking back through the historical minutes. I didn't see that we had kind of reviewed that in quite some time. I know previously we had it at noon before we were open meetings because we had our meetings at the GOI offices, and we catered in lunch. Y'all paid, I think it was $120 annual dues, and that paid for your meals to be catered in every meeting. Now that we are subject to open meeting acts, we have to have our meetings here. And so I wanted to make sure that noon was still a good time, or open up the discussion if you guys would like to change that time so you're not having to sit here starving once a month. So totally up to you guys. This is just for your benefit to discuss.
How about 11?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
That's totally up to you. You guys can make a motion and vote on that, and then we can change that.
Motion to change meetings to 11?
I'll second it.
First, second. All right.
Perfect.
11
Okay.
o'clock. Approved.
I think John will be happy too.
Yeah, I think John will be too.
Something about noon is just difficult.
It's hard. It's hard.
No, I'm just
well,
hungry.
yeah, and then we go back
you
to the
had my
office
attention for the
hungry.
first 15 minutes, and after that, I'm like, I don't remember anything about the meeting. I think I passed out a couple of times.
Perfect. Okay, I'll get with legal and make sure that there's nothing I need to do.
That's not a legal question, that would be a Philip question.
Philip. Okay, well, I'll get with him because his last day is Friday.
I was
So
going to say, is he still here?
Catch him. Catch him.
yeah, Norma. That might be a Norma question. Okay, I'll make sure that we get that changed and then ask if there's anything further that we need. I wanted to talk to you guys about the entertainment district possibilities. I know that we had mentioned it in the past, and it's something that I'm currently working on, and I wanted to gauge your approval and get your thoughts on an entertainment district. And so what that would be, it would be an entertainment district in the same overlay as the downtown footprint. An entertainment district would allow, I call it sip and stroll, where you can have open carry. I think we have a lot of new restaurants and bars coming into the downtown area, and a really big way for us to set ourselves apart from a Parks Legato or another area that has a lot of entertainment would be to have a sip and stroll option. This also would open us up to have like when you go to Fredericksburg and they have First Fridays, and you can go from restaurant to restaurant and shop and carry your glass of wine with you while you're shopping. So that's what the intent behind this entertainment district would be. Before I got too far in my progress, I've met with a couple folks, but I really wanted to gauge y'all's support of this idea. Get with you, see if you had any questions on it.
I know a place that would love it.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I really think we need to find ways to set downtown apart. And I think this is a big way. Also, another added bonus to this is anytime I have events, I wouldn't have to have the expense of $15,000 worth of fencing. I think it would really also encourage folks to bring their events downtown. One of the barriers to bringing your events downtown is the infrastructure cost, and a big part of that is fencing. Another big part of that is barricades, but I've got it approved by the city to purchase barricades for our use. And so if I could get rid of those two huge expenses, we are ready to hit the ground running and really start bringing the big hitter events to downtown.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I want downtown to be the premier venue to have your event. You don't look anywhere else, you're looking downtown, because you can't outgrow it. It's open to everybody. It encourages the public to come out, and I think it opens a whole new world of opportunities for us. So that's really what I'm looking at, but I wanted to make sure that the board was in favor of that, and any questions that you had or concerns that you had, I could work to get answered for you.
No, I know originally when we were first coming down here and the hotel was being built, we were talking to Toby and I were talking to Grand Brothers Entertainment to open a club down here, or just a bar,
right,
or something. And they said that they would be interested unless that you could have the stroll around, because it just seemed like the area to do that. And when Michael was at the meeting with us, and Michael said that he didn't think that the police department would be very open to that.
That's going to be one of my meetings that I set up and figure out what their concerns are and how we can set it up in a way to combat their concerns and see if that is a possibility. So I've met with a couple of folks that are really in favor of it. I have heard that our police department might have concerns with it, but I want to hear what those concerns are, and I want to see what we can do to kind of mitigate those concerns. And so that's definitely on my radar. I've also reached out to TABC because I know that's going to be a big part of it. What is it, a different license that these establishments are going to have? What are the requirements for them? And so I'm working on getting all of that. I've been in contact with a couple of different towns downtown towns in Texas that allow sip and stroll, and so I'm trying to work with them to figure out what was their process of getting it there, what are some concerns that they have, what are some ongoing issues. I want to hear the good and the bad before we just roll it out, and so that's something that I'm heavily working on.
Well, the police department's 3 blocks down, so I'm not sure what, I get why they have concerns, but I mean, they're right there. I mean, it's not like they're going to have to bring people from North Odessa over here to watch this stuff.
Some of what they do, probably, we'll just have to adapt, either on bikes or just having more personnel just walking, patrolling by walking.
Right. And I think that is something, we hear all the time that the police department is struggling with staff. And so I think having the staff to have a downtown presence more heavily, I think it's going to be a necessity. And so I think it's just working with the police department, giving them a head step and hearing them out. I think would go a long way.
Well, if you're eliminating the barricades and everything, that expense for that, part of that could be used for security.
Right. Well, and I think the security issue is just going to be on an ongoing basis, not just event based.
Because you could do that at any night of the week.
Right.
Once we get that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think the big concern is going to be especially like a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday on the more heavy nights where people choose to go out. And so I think that's something for us to consider. What does that look like? What can we do? What does downtown need to do in preparation for that? I think, we're working on wayfinding. I think that's important. Another big topic that's going to come up is trash cans. We're having a huge issue with trash, and so I think in conjunction with this entertainment district, some infrastructure is going to have to be part of that, and that's a big part. So all of this is kind of conversations that we're having, but I want it to be in the forefront, not pushed to the back. I want it to be something that we're actively pursuing and working on. So,
well, I think the way downtown is growing, I think it's going to be inevitable anyway that they're going to have some sort of force coming this way. And
right.
Yeah, I know this really cool guy, city manager named Michael Morrow, that might be able to help with that. So
yes.
I think that I think it's just something that eventually is going to have to happen if we want downtown to grow anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I really think it'll encourage economic development. Again, it's going to completely set us apart. If our diversity and culture itself didn't set us apart, this is just another added bonus to entice people to come downtown. So I think it's going to be a really good thing. We've just got to get all the kinks out and work out what all it's going to take to get us there. So
I think it's one of the key factors to make us stronger. I mean, I really do compared to the rest.
You've got to have the city departments working with downtown Odessa, not against you.
Right.
And I don't know how to promote that, but
well, I think we do right now. We have a really good working relationship. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without the streets department, without the parks department, without traffic. Every single one of those groups, police, fire, they're at every one of our events. They're the ones who are street sweeping. They're the ones who are making sure our parks and our sidewalks look really good. They're the ones who are helping us bring water to fill our barricades. And so that's one thing that I have to say is that the city and their departments, we could not do what we do without all of the work that the city departments help us with. So I think we're there. I agree. I think it has to happen. And luckily, I think we're already at that point. So.
One thing that comes to my mind as you go and start having the conversation with like the police department and others is being able to maybe share a case study or your own experiences, because I wouldn't want downtown to turn into, I'm going to say 6th Street because that's the only thing I grew up with.
No, 100%.
But at the same time, I was in Fort Worth this weekend, and at 11 o'clock, everything shut down. Even on Saturday, it seemed for the most part. And I wasn't used to that. We used to stay like downtown Dallas or somewhere cool, whatever. But we need to find the balance or the median.
Agreed.
If it shuts down too early, well, that's not fun.
Right.
But you don't want it to turn into a mess at
you don't want
2 o'clock
people
in the morning,
puking in the
3 o'clock in the
streets
morning.
down Grant at 2 o'clock in the morning every time. And I agree. I think we need to have a balance of
But I think
shopping.
the more prepared we are, we are, and we're telling the same story about what we want, I think that may help. And
Good
I think, I know you have a lot of experience with that too.
Yeah.
Those
We shut down at midnight, so.
Yeah, and that's our bar's going to be set the same way. Our tavern's going to be at midnight.
Yeah.
I stayed in downtown Fort Worth this weekend too, and the place we were at, they closed at midnight. But I think the restaurants closed at 11, correct?
Mm-hmm. On
Yeah,
Saturday.
on Saturday.
10 on Friday and then 11 on Saturday.
Yeah. So we were. But I know the bar that was across the street from MC Suites that they closed at midnight.
Right. And again, I think it's going to be important to have a balance
We were right
Really?
of shopping and bars, restaurants. I think we got to give people something to do as they're sipping and strolling. You don't, it's not a bar hopping experience. It's kind of a both. You're going over here and getting a drink, but you're walking over here and shopping, or you're grabbing a taco here, but then you're going to walk next door. So I think it's important to have both. I think we're also looking at changing our art tours to free flowing, where we do First Fridays. We have live musicians on the sidewalk on Fridays. And so it gives people options. Even if you don't drink, you're still going to come downtown and go to our boutiques and listen to the music. Or if you do drink, you have options. So I think we're trying to get a well-rounded, like you suggested, idea of what we're doing and how it's going to benefit the city. So I think we need to highlight the benefits.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very interested.
Good. Next up, at the last meeting, you guys had requested that we have a P&L report for historical events. I will preface this by saying some of this data is very hard to find. And so this is what I could locate. I pulled some of this off of our 990s from previous years. I pulled some of this from our historical files from events. So I do not attest to its 100% accuracy. This is just what I could find. And so there's that. Do you guys want me to go through each event and kind of what was great, what wasn't? We just want to look at it. I think the big thing is I then went and pulled P&L by an annual basis, not by event. I think it's important to note that year to date so far we're looking to, and I have an asterisk there because we're not quite to the end of the year, but we're set to end our year as a high of $59,860, give or take a few bucks. So I think that's a huge increase, seeing as how the last 3 years we've not made more than 5,000. So 2021 was 4710, 2020 is 1358, 2019 1748. It looks like the program had a really good year in 2018, ending at 7105. 2017 we had a negative loss of 17,757, and then in 2016 we had a net gain of 53,592.
I guess where are you getting those numbers? Because is this the net income? Or is it operating income? Like total, and then up here, is this revenue? Because this doesn't equal.
Right, and so that's what I wanted to explain. Okay. This total P&L on our on the bottom annually, that's going to be our total operating versus expenses versus revenue. That's our total from our 990. This information on the event, but this is by event. This is going to include city funds and nonprofit funds. So what we brought in on our city versus what we took in on our nonprofit, and then you split the difference. So this should match what the events should match what you have on your year-to-date expense. That's where I pulled the majority of those numbers. The rest of 2020, 2019, and so on, those came from spreadsheets per event that staff keeps on an event breakdown. So this is what every event you guys have seen, our Excel spreadsheets that shows what we brought in versus what we had at expense. That's where those numbers came from.
So the net revenue on the statement of financial position and this other summary sheet, is that supposed to be the same number as this 59,860?
No. So this total number should be, yes, it should be.
It's close. It's not the same number though. It's 459.
I pulled this year's and last year's from our QuickBooks because I thought that might be the best way since we have it there. So what QuickBooks shows might be different from what this report pulled, because I pulled this report this morning, and this is as of August 31st. So there's a 2-week difference.
Okay.
So if I pulled this report today, that total should be the 59,860.
So gospel is really this QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Correct.
I'm sad.
Do we need to vote and approve this, or?
No, I just presented
Just-
this for
just
you
presented,
guys,
right.
for your
Just for that.
information, kind of where we are,
Yeah.
where we have been. Again, some of these events like Parade of Lights, Parade of Lights, Treat Street, and Winterfest we haven't done yet this year.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously those aren't there. Tap into Downtown we don't do anymore. A lot of the events I couldn't find data on them. I think we had those events, but I didn't have the files to kind of review, and I didn't want to just throw numbers in. So we didn't have data for those. And then, in 2020, there weren't many events at all. There were in 2020 and 2021 scavenger hunts, quite a few scavenger hunts, but I didn't include those because I couldn't find any kind of spreadsheet for budgets on those. So this is just what I had. Any questions on that? Perfect. Next, we'll go to event updates. So we had our Lowriders Against Bullying car show on August 19th and 20th. They had a good event. We had a few hiccups. They didn't have the correct barricades, so we had to work on that and get that corrected. And then it rained. It rained and it rained and it rained. And we kept thinking it was going to stop raining, but it did not stop raining. And so that caused a little bit of an issue. But in the daytime, they had their car show. We had a lot of folks come out, really cool cars. I think they had a great turnout. Saw lots of people out there. And then for their concerts, they didn't quite get to have their concerts like they had intended. I think they had 5 bands. Alma, is that correct? Yeah, I think they had 5 different bands scheduled to play. They didn't end up getting to play. They did play under the Sally Port at the courthouse because it was covered, and so they kind of transitioned over into that area and played for a few folks that were still there. We had one issue at the end of the event. I believe that the folks who put on the event had partook a little too much during the event, and so we had officers at that were supposed to be paid at the end of the night, and the organizers did not want to pay the officers, so I got called at midnight to go back down there. I went back down there, and there was a lot of alcohol being drank, and I think there was some intoxication issues. They didn't want to pay the officers, and they said they were going to pay them by check. The officers were afraid that they would cancel that check, and the policy is that it's cash, and they agreed to cash when they booked the officers. So I ended up convincing them to make the full payment in cash, and they got the officers paid. But they are not comfortable having that event downtown again. It was a big issue that the organizers were drunk, if it wasn't raining and there was a full crowd, it could have been a worse situation. And so we intend to have a meeting and follow up with the organizers and just talk about what that's going to look like, if at all, next year, because that was a big concern. So,
who were the organizers?
Al and Joe Laura. It's Brown Creations. They've had the event previously. It was at a park on the with the city, and then they moved it downtown, I believe, 2 years ago. And I think this was their second or third year to have it downtown. There were some concerns going into it, and then that was a big concern. She was very aggressive, yelling, screaming, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a great. For me to have to get called out at midnight because the officers can't get paid is not a great look for downtown. We don't want to have events that aren't a good representation of what our standards are.
Yeah, not where we're headed. No way.
Right. No. And so we want to be on the right side. And I just don't know that event is going to be suitable for us to move forward with. So I do have intentions on meeting with them. I haven't yet, but I do have intentions on meeting with them and talking about the whole situation. So we're going to chat with them, and I'll keep y'all posted. But moving forward, I don't know that will be a good fit for us downtown. And I think it's really important that we have these conversations because as we grow and as people see that downtown is a great venue, we're going to have to be very selective and make those hard decisions that it might not be a good fit for downtown. Even if it could happen downtown, it might not be the best way to go. So I think we give everybody a fair shot, and I think if we just have to reevaluate at the end of those and kind of see if that's going to be good for us moving forward. So I don't know that Lowriders would be a good fit for us moving forward.
It sounds like they contradicted their cause. I mean,
it
really does.
I know
it really does.
The police.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then they followed up that next Monday, and she wanted a receipt, said she was going to turn them into the IRS. It was just really, it was ugly. It was not great. I had to get the chief of police involved. So it just wasn't. It was not great, and it does not reflect well on our program. Yeah. So
I'm in agreement.
West Texas Fest, we have that coming up with the Ellen Noel Art Museum.
Sorry,
Yes, sir.
Do you need any level of city management or police to be with you in that meeting?
So I have intentions for Mr. Marrero and I to
All
meet
right,
with
cool.
them together. Yes. And I will say, on a positive note, I was very worried Sunday morning when I had to go out there and make sure that everything got cleaned up. But they were out there. It was clean. It was probably the cleanest cleanup from an event I've ever been to. I mean, they cleaned up. They had every bit of trash. They emptied every single barrel. It was extremely clean, and I was very concerned about that from being there Saturday night. But they had it together on the cleanup, so I will absolutely make sure that I note that, because that was no problem at all. We had to drain the barricades ourselves because the barricade company didn't come again. And they were out there helping me drain them, push them off the roads. I mean, they stayed until the very end. So that was a definite positive. And so I would like to talk with them and see if maybe we can't have an agreement.
Trying to make up for the bad
I believe
event.
so. Yeah, I believe so. And so there were positives. It does bring a different demographic downtown that I think we need to make sure that we're including, and we're having well-rounded events. So there are positives. There are definite concerns that we would have to kind of put a policy in place about what that would look like moving forward. So that's why Mr. Marrero and I will be in that meeting together. Okay, West Texas Fest. Ellen Noel Art Museum and Downtown are partnering for this on September 24th. We're really excited for this event. They're set to have a great fundraiser. We presented to county commissioners today to get use of the courthouse, and that was approved. So we're all set. We have our logistics meeting with the city Thursday to get all of the city's side in place. But that's going to be a great event. It's at 6 p.m. For the sponsorship hour, and then 7 p.m. for the general public on Saturday, September 24th. So hopefully you guys can make it out. They're going to have Texas Country Band out there, Cash Bar, and then all kinds of different tastings from breweries around Texas. So it's going to be great. And Homemade Wines is going to be out there. So it's going to be a good time. And the Downtown Art Tour, this is just like the one that we did in April. This one is focused on Dia de los Muertos. Look at me. I said that right this time. Yeah. You say it enough times, kind of like mural. You say that enough times, you get it good. So, Dia de los Muertos, we're selling 100 tickets. We have all of our stops set up. So first stop is the Ector Theater, where we will have mariachis in full Dia de los Muertos gear and the folklorical dancers on stage at the Ector. From there, we'll head over to Copper Key in the garage, and we're going to be painting sugar skulls. We'll also have a pan dulce, which is a traditional Hispanic bread that is celebrated during Dia de los Muertos. Then we're going to walk over to the sidebar, and they are going to create a specialty cocktail for us. And we have Father Rick, who's going to construct a traditional altar and explain the tradition of the altar and the symbolism there and what that means. And then we're going to walk over to Torchy's Tacos, and we're going to have salsa tasting and salsa dancing. We're going to have salsa instructors there doing a salsa dance. And then we're going to finish at the Marriott, and we're going to have another cocktail creation there. And this time what we're doing a little bit different is we had a lot of folks who said, one, they wanted more hands-on. And then two, that they wanted more takeaways. They wanted more history and things like that. So we're working with the Marriott. Lisa is going to create a pamphlet that everybody's going to get, and it's going to have it's going to have ads from every stop. So all the different restaurants, all the different businesses, they get to place an ad in this pamphlet. But then moreover, they're going to have information on each stop. So we're going to talk about the history of the mariachi band, the history of the folklorical dancers, the history of the sugar skull and what that represents in this tradition, and kind of dive deeper into why the traditions exist, what they mean, and have more of an educational aspect to it. We're also going to have recipes for the cocktails from the Marriott. We're going to have recipes for the salsa and things like that, so that they can take that and then take it home with them, and then all of the social media kind of links to go from there. So we're kind of trying to step it up as we go along. So that'll happen October 28th. Treats on the Streets is going to be October 31st. We're doing this very similar to Easter, where businesses have to sign up to be a stop. Savannah's going to create a map that will be our Treats on the Street map. And then we're handing out, at Easter, everybody got an egg and you opened it up to see if you had a prize or not. We wanted to entice folks to come to ours because, as you know, every single place in Odessa has trick-or-treating. So in order to encourage them to come downtown and see our businesses and our growth, we are doing grand prize giveaways. And by that, you're going to have a half-page sheet that has circles on it, and you have to go inside or visit at least 10 businesses and get them stamped. And once you do that, you can drop that off and be entered to win some grand prizes. That helps it to where it's not just kids going to a trunk or treat in a parking lot. We actually want them to walk downtown, see what our businesses are, and visit them. So I feel like it helps accomplish our goal and our mission a little bit more. So we have some leftover prizes from Easter, and we're going to add a little bit more to them. So far we have 22 businesses signed up, and it's only mid-September. So we're really excited and think this is going to be a big event. We have a surplus. By surplus, I mean I think we have about 18 totes chocked full of Downtown Odessa t-shirts that is taking over our storage. And so everybody who comes gets a free Downtown Odessa t-shirt. So we're going to hand those out like candy, and everybody's going to take it, love it, and then they'll just be representing Downtown Odessa anywhere they go. So those are going to be, yes. And then we're going to do Shop Small November. Again, that's something that we've done, I think, in the past. That's more of a social media kind of event where we go to 10 different businesses and highlight each business in downtown, and then buy gift cards or something to those businesses and do interaction social media posts to try to give those away. So. And then for Christmas, we have our parade and market on December 3rd. Sign up for the parade will happen October 1st. That's when it'll open to the public. We're having to cut that off this year. I believe it's 175. Last year they had, I think 182, and Park said that I was just way too many. So we have to cut it off at 175. And so we are keeping all the pricing the same as it was last year. We're not doing an increase. And plan to do that. Same thing with the market. It'll be at the same time as it was last year, both during the day and then after the parade. I think a lot of people went and parked and then walked over to the market and shopped prior to the parade, and then there was a huge influx of folks right after the parade. So we're also, I have on here letters to Santa ideas. I really want to highlight downtown and have people come downtown and spend the day with us, the day of the parade. A lot of people park and then have a friend come pick them up, and they go, and then come back. So in order to keep people in downtown footprint, eat at our restaurants, come eat at lunch, come eat dinner before the parade, we're trying to think of different ways that we can do that. And so one of the ways is we've thought of is to have a Letters to Santa Day, where we rent out the Rose Building and serve hot chocolate, have Santa Claus there. I know y'all have all been to our hot summer nights where we have our you can take your own selfie picture. That would be at no cost. They could just digitally text the picture to themselves, and then have tables set up with crayons and paper where kiddos could write letters to Santa, take a picture with Santa, and all of that brought to them by downtown. So thought that would be an easy thing to do to encourage people to be downtown. So that's it. That's all I had for events. I know that was a lot. I feel like I've been chatting your ear off. Any questions or suggestions on events?
No.
Are you having anything for New Year's Eve?
No. So we had looked at what we could do for New Year's Eve that would be financially responsible for us. It's just so expensive. The quotes that I was getting to have a laser show projection were $25,000 to $40,000, and I just don't think that it would be a good idea for us to do that this year. Instead of us having an event, what we're trying to do is trying to get with the downtown bar and restaurant owners that are having, live music or a DJ or something for New Year's Eve. And we're going to put together a flyer that has all the different bars and restaurants downtown, and then just push that out and celebrate and tell them, we're just going to call it Downtown New Year's Eve, and then have every different business and if they're having a special and things like that. So we're not detracting them from coming downtown, but like if the Marriott or the White Buffalo's having something, if Icon's doing something, we just put it all on one sheet so that hopefully they come and they go to all the different ones. So
that's great.
Cool. We just said we were going to crash Sandra's place.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And we want it to be that they're not competing, but that we're all celebrating
absolutely.
each other, and you can go to all of these things in one little downtown area. So
Good. That's great.
So grant updates. Ambler Law. I'm sure you all are aware that Miss Rachel Ambler passed away in a car accident. She was in the middle of her reimbursement for her grant. We're still waiting on those reimbursement documents. I spoke to her office last week, and they were still trying to kind of pick up the pieces and figure out where they're at, but it is on their radar, and so hopefully we'll get to that. I just, obviously didn't want to put pressure on them right now, but they said they are intending to move forward with the reimbursement, and so we're being patient with them right now.
Was all of the scope of work completed?
Yes, everything is completely done. They just have not since 2020 turned in their reimbursement paperwork, and that was prior to the 90-day time frame that we have now have on our grant.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yes. Petty Cardio, again, they're going to file for an extension in October. They are currently in a lawsuit with their contractor, and they're having major issues. They are not done with construction, so they are I'm gonna work with them to get an extension filed with the ODC, and we'll go from there on that. Icon Tavern is still under construction. They went to ODC and we got them a 6-month extension approved. So that has extended their time from the end of September for an additional 6 months. So I just went by yesterday and I'm really excited. It's going to be really, really cool. I know Sean and John and the whole crew is working hard to get progress made. Everybody that I talk to in all construction phases are having a really hard time either finding contractors or
kitchen equipment.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
Yeah, it's just
we were in Van Hood yesterday.
Oh, good. Okay.
And they're building the bar right now as we speak. So.
Good. Good.
So you open next spring?
No. We'll be open. We'll be open. I'm still shooting for the end of October, but
okay.
I just wanted to make sure. I just did a preemptive strike just to make sure in case it does run over it a little bit.
Okay.
That we have the extension. So
that way we don't have to go back.
Equipment is really what's going to hold us up. Everything else, as far as construction, it's pretty much on schedule. But the kitchen equipment is what I'm worried about.
Okay.
So it may run us into November, and I'm okay with that. But I'm still putting pressure on for October, end of October. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's by January or December 31st, and you'll be on our
for sure.
Celebrate New Year's Eve.
It'll be by then.
Yeah, and I'm gonna need a ticket to that VIP area, okay? Because it looks really cool.
There you go.
I didn't know they have it. I can't wait to see it.
Oh yeah. You guys are all on it.
Yeah, Little McJack. They have their facade almost all the way done. It's gorgeous. If you guys haven't been by, it looks really, really good. They did all brick facade, and they took out that building had the inset kind of curved windows, and it looks so good. I'm very excited. So they're really hoping to be done October, November, really hopefully October, so that they can, they have an emphasis on Christmas. So I've been in contact with them. They're good. Homemade Wines, I think Kira had to leave, but she was here. I don't know if you guys have been by there, but she is hand painting every single brick on that building.
Unbeknownst to me or Toby, but yeah,
hand painting every brick, and I think it's a stain. Some of it is purple, some of it is gray. And she's not. I thought maybe the purple she was, rolling. No, that's still a stain, and she's hand painting it. I thought it was gonna be more of a wine color, but it is definitely purple.
she loves purple.
Yeah. So, so she's in construction. They're making headway on their infrastructure as well. So, I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't have a time frame on their end of construction. I think she had said October
15th.
Okay.
She's shooting for.
Okay.
That made me wonder when she did that if there's not some kind of restriction.
Neon is the only paint
Just
restriction.
neon? Okay, because I was thinking, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know that you can do that. And
Neon.
she was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I checked. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That might be another. Let's reevaluate.
Yeah.
Part 2, again, that's been submitted to City Council. I just haven't received Anthony's signature.
Yes.
I saw him again yesterday, and told him he needed to come in. So he is going to sign it. We had a big rush because he wanted it to be done prior to Firecracker Fandango. And then he got very upset that it wasn't going to be done prior to Firecracker Fandango. And so I think we're trying to motivate him. So
I think he's just not in a hurry anymore. Is what it is,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I just want you to know that he's not waiting on me.
Well, I told
and
him
it's
last
not a
time. I
reason.
said, "Hey, you need to get in and sign it." And he goes, "Oh, I'll go over there right now." Well,
I think he came in once and I was not in the office, and so it's hard right now since we don't have an admin.
Yeah.
We're both out, and so we don't have anybody that's answering the door at the office. So if he came once and we weren't there, so
I got you.
and I can't take it to him because it has to be notarized,
Yeah.
and I'm not a notary. Audrey was our notary; she left, so we have to take it across the hall to get notarized. So there's the hang up. So he's going to have to come back.
I have a question
Sure.
on that project. So is he acting as his own general contractor?
I am not sure. He has to get 2 quotes. One can be himself, but another one has to be another. It can't. Anytime that you're, like a general contractor who comes and gets a quote, like I believe Homemade Wines is acting as their own general contractor, she still has to get another quote from a licensed contractor. So you can't just present yourself as a quote. We have to have 2 different quotes. So I don't know, because we're not in the construction phase. We always go with the lesser of the 2, whichever, and then they can choose once they get approved. They choose which one they want to go with. If they want to go with the more expensive one, that's totally fine, but they're only going to be reimbursed up to the lesser of the 2 amounts.
but he did provide the 2.
He did, absolutely. Yes, that's part of the application process. He has to provide 2 separate ones. So anything that you guys want to see on future agenda that we haven't discussed?
There's a few things that has been on my list for several years, and doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere.
Okay.
One is the trimming of the trees downtown.
That's been done.
No, they're not.
That was done. I don't know if it was done to yours.
The trees look awful. I don't know who trimmed them, but the trees downtown here on Grant, they should be trimmed up way above the signage for the merchants' buildings, and they're not.
Okay.
They should be at least trimmed up 15 to 18 feet, and they're not anywhere close to that.
Okay, I can definitely get with Parks and let them know that that's a request. I know that they did come and trim them out of the power lines because they were having issues with Encore and the trees being in the power lines. That happened in April, I believe. But I can definitely get with Parks.
The trimming of the trees, you have to clean all the new sprouts and all of that is up and you have to go up into the limbs. And they have not done that.
Okay.
Secondly, the Grant Street improvement project for the sidewalks and trash cans that you're talking about and everything. What I know we discussed that in the last meeting that I was in, and that there was maybe something that was going to happen in August.
So, are you talking about the $7 million allocated by the?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So that is ongoing. We had to have a meetings to pick a. We're working on implementation, so we had to pick a firm to help us decide where is the best use of that money. So there is a group of folks who are working on that. We have another meeting on Thursday, I believe. We chose a firm, and they're working with us to figure out where is the best use to spend that money. Because I think we were looking at making it like an entertainment street, what that would look like, how much that would cost. And so they're working with us to find a breakdown of those expenses. And so we're hoping to have that done soon, but I agree, it's a long process.
And is that something that is going to be brought before the Downtown Odessa Board?
I'm not sure, but I can find out, and I can definitely give you guys a full update at our next meeting, in our October meeting, because we have another meeting for the committee. I believe it's this Thursday, and I can give you guys a full update and bring what that firm is suggesting where we spend our money.
Are they coordinating with the engineering?
Yes. Yes. Yes, there's city departments, and then myself is on it. John is on it.
Stoker, right?
Craig Stoker is on it. Yes.
Toby's on it.
Yeah, Toby.
Yes. Toby is on it. Yeah. So
Another thing that I would recommend, I brought this up before, and if we have buildings that are downtown that are boarded up, shut and closed and everything, why don't we have street art covering those? A lot of other cities do that. They'll cover the building with street art, and it's kind of like a mural,
right.
But it really looks nice.
I agree. And that was one of the first things that I talked to Mr. Marrero about when I started, was some kind of something to help. We have a lot of dilapidated, vacant buildings, and how can we work together to maybe include Odessa Arts and do some kind of grant program where we have, if it's for sale, then we do a for sale, but as an art piece. But that would have to be up to the private owners of each building. Like, we couldn't force that on them. And so that was kind of the end of the conversation.
Well, on that issue, it seems like to me the owners, well, I don't know. I mean,
the problem is that a lot of those buildings are not for sale. They just are not. There's no movement on them.
Rio and that other one.
Correct. Right. The Rio and the Piccadilly. We've had to call those owners several times because their roof is in the power lines. Their back door is open. There's a lot of issues with those buildings, but it's privately owned.
Yes,
so.
I get that, but is there something that we can do as far as the building is not up to code?
Well, so we had that issue with the Rio Theater. Their marquee sign, when I started, had a lot of rotting. It was a public hazard, and so I don't know if you remember, we had that blocked off, and the city let him know that that had to be remedied. And so what he did is he hired somebody and came in and ripped out all of everything except the metal beams. It was also a huge pigeon hazard. There was pigeons all in there. There was bird feces all over the sidewalk. So that kind of remedied that. As far as what the city can do, it's my impression that we can only enforce like public hazards. And since that was one, they did enforce that. But another option would be like a vacant building registry. We've talked about that in the past. Vacant building registry is done in several cities across the U.S. To encourage people to not hold on to vacant buildings. And what that is everybody has to register their vacant building, and then there's a fine for it sitting vacant. And so as the years progress, it goes up and up and up so that people don't buy property and sit on it for 10 years.
Is there some way that we could have some type of incentive programs to make them
Facade and infrastructure grants.
Right. And I've talked to both of them about facade and infrastructure grants.
That's the point of it.
Well, you're right, and that would be the best scenario. But for a quick fix, if there was something to where incentivize them to allow you to put a street art in front of their building, maybe a tax break or whatever, to incentivize them to say, okay, yeah, if you're going to give me a tax break, I'll let you put the sign up,
Then that encourages it staying that way forever, probably.
Well, it might be, but it's that way forever anyhow.
I don't know what
Like you said, it'd be 10 years or something. So why not at least have some street art in front of them? If there's some way to incentivize them to do it. I don't know why some of them wouldn't say, yeah, it's fine, go ahead and do it anyhow without incentives, but I don't know.
No, I agree. And that's a huge problem that we have
here.
downtown is vacant buildings that are no intentions of being rehabbed. And that's a huge issue. And a lot of them are on grant. And that's a big deterrent for folks when they're looking at bringing their business down here.
Right.
And so we've got to figure out something. I just don't know what that is.
I wonder if a property owner would share with you or with the city maybe long-term plans. I bet if a realtor calls those people, which I'm sure that's happened a lot, I bet you they don't share much.
I've talked to both the Piccadilly and the Rio. The Rio's...
Is that the Music Society guy? Or
no, it's Mr. Brown is the one who owns the Rio. And his intentions, when I talked to him, were to have a bed and breakfast. And then he thought about renovating the front half of his building, renting that out, and then using that rental income to rehab the back of his property. I've talked to him about infrastructure grants and what that would look like, but I'm not sure his hesitation. He does not seem motivated to make that happen anytime soon. The owner of the Piccadilly is also the owner of Osaka's. I've had several meetings with them. They said that the infrastructure grants were useless and not enough money, and she would rather just tear it down.
I think their expectations are out of line, but it's my opinion.
So, I mean, I told her that's definitely an option, that if she would like to tear it down, that I can help her with the city, and we will get her the correct permits. And she wanted to tear it down and build retail, leasable retail space.
Let's create some parking spots.
I told her that it was definitely an eyesore, that it's a huge building right in the heart of our downtown, and whatever we could do to help her, to motivate her to do something with that building, we were on board with. And
this is the representative.
It was her. I forget her name, but it was the actual owner and her husband.
Oh, okay.
It's her and her brother that own it.
It was her and her husband that I met with.
Okay.
And those buildings are not up for sale. They're not even.
No, I've had
considered.
2 people call, particularly Mr. Brown, that wanted to purchase the old Rio Theater, and he said absolutely not.
Really?
They just continue to pay the taxes, huh?
Which aren't much.
Well,
It's fine.
you mentioned about some sort of fines for vacant buildings and that kind of thing. Is that something we could even enforce on them? Would they be grandfathered in on something like that, where they wouldn't have to?
I haven't done
almost,
full research.
you know.
That was something that I kind of looked at as when I was looking at this position. What would be something that I could help do, and what would that look like? And so I haven't done a lot of research on that. It would definitely have to be a city ordinance, I believe, that got put into place, and then, would the city council be in favor of that? What would be the repercussions of that? What would the legal process look like? And so all of those are questions that I don't have answers to.
Yeah, I got a funny feeling because they've owned the building prior to doing that they still wouldn't be enforced on them.
Can be grandfathered
Right,
in.
exactly.
Really
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that never changes and usually becomes more restrictive as we go along are building codes, and there's a safety hazard, and that's what we've been able to work with. But unless they try to occupy the building, but occupy can also mean storage. When I've gone through both of those buildings, I don't think they were storing anything in there. But any little ammunition, like even if you see one box in there or a piece of equipment that looks like it works, I would be like, hey, you're occupying the building, turn them in. I don't know.
I know, and we've had issues because that back door on the Piccadilly is forever. It's always open.
It's usually me calling.
We had
Doors
people
open, you
starting a
have to see
fire
it.
in there. We had, it's a definite hazard. The Rio, I don't think has a roof whatsoever.
No, in the expectations with the slope floor, the way that whole thing is, it's beyond a conventional building renovation. It's much more to it, and then that type of occupancy and stuff. I know an architect. He can go talk to you just to explain how to get it to where you can just open the door, and it's not worth it.
Right, and that's kind of what we had a conversation with the Piccadilly about what it would take to rehab that building, and then versus what the tear down cost of it would be, and how that might be more beneficial. I've tried every angle I can think of to politely push them towards progress, and it's just I've met a brick wall each time.
Yeah,
So I can definitely reach back out to them and put that on the agenda for us to talk about in October, and just tell you if I made any progress on that, or talk to them about your idea, Mr. Lawrence, about any kind of public art kind of facelift that we could potentially look at partnering with them on. We have made a profit this year, and our nonprofit funds are pretty healthy. If we wanted to look at what the expense of downtown Odessa doing some kind of temporary fascia
I like that
type
idea.
art,
It's
and
almost
we
like
have our logo on it.
Being in a mall where it's like coming soon, and it's a silhouette or a logo, but maybe we don't have that because we don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a City of Odessa insignia.
Yeah.
Um,
Or your vision here, or something
like
big
a
is
4x8
coming.
signs.
Yeah, I would
and
think
then
wraps would probably work
Yeah.
pretty well on that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't
Yeah,
be
that's-
so costly. I think
I talked
something
about
like
that
would
for all of the for sale buildings that, it can be really unsightly to have a vacant Jim's Big and Tall that's had, going out of business on their windows for a long time.
Yeah.
If downtown Odessa could incur the expense of having a window cling that has our logo downtown, your vision here, and then the realtor's information or something. So I can definitely do some research, find out what that kind of expense would be, reach out to some of these building owners and see if that would be something that they're interested in.
If we did that and we had that type of signage, graphics on these buildings and everything, I think it would be a really boost for downtown Odessa. The image of downtown Odessa.
Absolutely, make it more vibrant.
Yeah.
And
We could also do something where we do local artists, and we have local artists create, different art, and so it's art incorporated into the for sale sign, or art incorporated into the coming soon sign, where we're working with Odessa Arts, and so it makes it more of an art piece instead of just a
yes.
something like that.
But
So,
you don't want too many of those signs because then it looks like it's
Yeah.
sort of
Like going
vacant.
in.
Yeah. So, well, and the other part that you were
That's
talking
true.
about, you can go probably maybe a little bit harsher way and go into legal and then city council and seeing if there's something that can be done about the two businesses that really don't want to do anything with it and just want to let them sit there and kind of rot. I think that getting with legal and city council, they might have more ideas or something they can do about that, because if they're not pushing anything to go there, sell it, let somebody else do something with it, but letting it sit there and rot and become a hazard, like Cruz says. I mean, that's
going forward, like you said, if there was some type of vacancy ordinance to where you've got to do something with that building within 5
Yeah.
years,
yeah.
That definitely needs to be in the city ordinances. I don't know how that structure and looks, but I'm
Yeah.
sure other cities have done
Absolutely.
similar.
other cities have done it. I've found it nationwide.
Yeah.
I can do more research on what it would entail to put into what it would take to take that to city council. I can definitely add that to
Yes.
something
I
that
think
we're
that's a
looking
good
at.
idea.
Definitely needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite glad you brought that up. I didn't really think about that too much, but that's
Yeah.
yeah,
If
that's
you'll
true.
add TERS update or something like
Yeah.
that on the agenda
Yeah.
each time, so we'll know where we're at. Too.
Sure. TERS has not met. So that, are you talking about the $7 million?
Yeah, it's-
So that is not TERS funds. That's downtown Odessa funds.
Okay,
So,
so just
but I
some
can
kind
definitely add that to the agenda every meeting and just kind of give you guys an update on where we're at in that process. So.
And I sent you an email because I was texting back and forth with Stacy. She said she wasn't aware of it, but that if you'll get it to her, she'll get it paid before the year ends.
Perfect. That's great. Okay, thank you.
And the others, we can just shut off their water. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Do it in there.
Yep.
Or every time.
Aren't you hungry?
I think we. I guess that's last. Do you have anything else, Casey? Or?
That's it, guys.
All right. Meeting adjourned, guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Good meeting, good information.
Yes, ma'am.